Fulford interview transcript. Old World Order Nearing Defeat, written by David Wilcock. Monday, 31st October 2011, 1907. On October 13, 2011, Benjamin Fulford gave another revealing interview. As a public service, we have transcribed it and summarized the greater context we have been sharing here, so these world-defining events will be easier to follow and document as we proceed. Transcript and commentary by David Wilcock, New York Times best-selling author of the Sourcefield Investigations. Quite a remarkable story. You have carefully followed the Benjamin Fulford story since he first emerged on the internet a few years ago, and have interviewed him several times now myself. Our most recent interview appeared on September 16th, here at divinacosmos.com. It is quite a remarkable tale, wherein a former Asia-Pacific bureau chief for Forbes magazine stumbles into the dark world of international finance and control, and ends up becoming a key player in opposing it. Fulford discovered this quasi-governmental group had genocidal plans for humanity, and were siphoning off massive amounts of money from the Japanese economy that could have been used to end poverty and environmental destruction. He was then contacted by positive Asian secret societies who have been resisting the old world order. Now, with an English-speaking Westerner they could trust, these people were able to get the truth out to the Western world. Since these early days, their alliance has grown dramatically, to the point now that apparently 100 different countries are aligned in their efforts to overthrow the old world order and restore peace and prosperity to the people of this planet. It is not easy for these resistance groups to communicate publicly, due to the extensive use of murder, threats, bribery and blackmail by the old world order. As soon as anyone sticks their neck out, their head could easily get chopped off. Fulford claims to have survived multiple attempts on his life, and still lives to tell this amazing tale of international intrigue. Fulford doesn't do UFOs. I don't wish to dishonor or discredit Fulford's work by bringing up the UFO subject. It is very clear that he wishes to steer clear of it in his own work. However, many people are very interested in this subject, and Fulford has touched on it occasionally. Fulford has no direct evidence that UFOs exist, or are piloted by extraterrestrials. He has never seen one, and it does not appear that he has intensively studied the available literature on the subject. In many ways, Fulford was essentially an ordinary guy working for Forbes as a financial journalist before he stumbled into this world. Clearly, there is so much to know and learn within his own area of concern that he doesn't have much time to read up on UFOs. However, Fulford has met with Pentagon sources who claim to have directly worked with gravity shielding and Stargate-type portal technology, and who wish to release it to humanity. Fulford has not seen any of this himself, but said he would love it if it were true. This was one of several ways in which the things Fulford heard fit together very neatly with what I'd already encountered from other insiders. Fulford did also hear that the Chinese were contacted by ETs in the 1940s who were mistreated by the United States government, apparently in the Roswell crash. He was also told that this same ET group is apparently still assisting the Chinese, and others, to this very day. I have also had significant corroboration of this from my own insider sources. Childhood ENDA is a result of being a public figure discussing UFOs since 1996, including appearing in 7 episodes of Ancient Aliens on History Channel. I have had numerous insiders approach me who work within classified projects to share information. The conclusions I have made from this body of information are quite vast in scope. We are going through the very last days of our isolation, thinking we're the only intelligent human life out there. This will all be changing sooner than we think. I have also been closely affiliated with Carrie Cassidy and Bill Ryan of Project Camelot within the first few months of their development. My deep involvement with Project Camelot gave me potential access to every insider who approached them. Most of these whistleblowers were captured on videos that are free for everyone to watch, but others could not go public. Some of the key insiders I am in contact with did not speak to Camelot at all. Henry Deacon. I have had over 100 hours of discussion with Henry Deacon, a Camelot witness who worked within a world so highly classified it would almost have to be called a breakaway civilization, as Rich Dolan has termed it. The Deacon material was absolutely electrifying, and when I began reading it, I knew Carrie and Bill had found someone who was very genuine, and plugged in at a very high level. There were many correlations with what I had heard, and never published, from others. At this level, you begin your day by driving to work at a military base somewhere. You sign in and go through 3 or 4 increasingly strict security checkpoints before arriving at what is called the corridor. You walk down a long, round hallway with an elevator at the end. To ordinary workers, it's just an elevator that will take you up one floor, albeit very slowly, and there's a stairwell right next to it that does the same thing a lot faster, so I wait. However, if you are carrying the right identification, then when you step into this metallic, oversized elevator, insert your key into the lock and turn it, the door slowly closes behind you, and when it opens, you've now traveled to an entirely different location. The elevator is literally a portal that uses an instantaneous means of travel to bring you to work, which could be in another underground base on Earth, any one of over 200 large interstellar spacecraft, or a variety of different off-planet bases. Quite an amazing story. Deacon encountered at least 43 different types of human beings at his job, each of whom had evolved on different worlds. The vast majority of them looked quite similar to you and me, though they could range from 2.5 feet tall up to 15 feet. The base Henry worked at was located on Mars, and of the 270,000 personnel who worked there, only 10,000 were born on or descended from people on Earth. His job was fairly boring. From a terrestrial perspective, he was essentially a maintenance and problem-solving man for various forms of advanced equipment they were using there. He was kept tightly contained, never even got to walk the surface of the planet, and spent a lot of time playing ping pong and watching television. He didn't interact with ETs much except in certain meetings, and there were strict guidelines: no idle chatter, no specific questions other than whatever was work-related. This is something you hear again and again with people who have met ETs in these fields. Not a flaky have spent well over 100 hours in conversation with Deacon over the years, and he finally came forward and revealed himself to the public at the Zurich conference in July 2009, during the second half of the late NASA astronaut Dr. Brian O'Leary's groundbreaking presentation on free energy. You can access the full 2-hour and 43-minute video of this presentation by scrolling to the bottom of this page, link provided in blog. It doesn't move as quickly as it could, since every statement is translated into German as we go. However, it is still worth watching. I jumped up on stage with Henry, by his request, when he finally decided to come forward. This exciting and unexpected moment begins at 57:51 in the following video. Henry has never sold products or attempted to profit from his story in any way, and went into hiding after this and a few other brief public appearances soon afterwards in 2009. We can create a new Earth. Henry's most significant statement about the new planet we can create with this knowledge begins at 1:20 and 22 seconds, after a standing ovation. This is followed by some dialogue I have with him about what it is like to meet human ETs, up until the 1:30 mark, where Dr. O'Leary continues his remarkable presentation on free energy. At 1:43 and 48 seconds, Dr. O'Leary asks me for my own take on why cold fusion experiments don't always work, and ends up provoking an emotional revealing of my own personal experience of the untimely death of Dr. Eugene Malov. 2 months ago now, Henry finally flew out here to Los Angeles and made a few statements on stage at the Awake and Aware conference, during the panel discussion, but did not go into any real detail about the jobs he used to have, as he is still very concerned about saying too much. Deacon is one of a very small number of people who were involved in this breakaway civilization but have still spoken publicly. Bob Dean is another example, and he also spoke at the Awake and Aware conference and has done free Camelot videos as well. The good guys in the Pentagon have told Fulford they want to release this portal technology for the benefit of humanity, and I have heard the same thing as well. The changes still ahead of us are potentially very exciting, bringing us directly into a Star Trek future, while most of us are still wondering if we will ever send rockets to the moon again. Extraterrestrial intervention. One of the most intriguing turns in this whole story has been the apparent intervention of the ETs working with China, Russia, Brazil and India to help the non-aligned nations overthrow the old world order. This does not explicitly imply the ETs support China. It merely means they are doing what is best for everyone's health and well-being on Earth at this time. In my next update I will again cover all of this with links, but right for now this will just be a preemptive summary of what I covered in the China's October Surprise article series, China's October Surprise, Part 1, Disclosure and the Event Part 2, Earth's Quarantine Has Lifted Part 3, The Fight for Disclosure Part 4, Live Radio Show. Part 5, Disclosure War at Critical Mass Part 6, Official Government Disclosure Has Begun. This new campaign began in October 2010 with a series of highly public, mysterious failures of equipment, and continued to be visible in various forms until mid-November. The war then went deep black, affecting underground facilities in painful ways. See Parts 1, 2 and 3. The most visible sign of it was when HAARP was used in an attempt to repel some of these attacks, which up until this time were only disabling and or removing craft and war material that could be used to fake an alien invasion. Massive bird and fish deaths were created in the areas where this defense technology was used, beginning around December 31st. See Part 5, and after a short time the use of HAARP had to be stopped, in order to avoid a mass public realization of what was occurring. A planned FOR disclosure very soon after this stunning defeat, in January, Chinese officials then visited the United States to discuss a plan for disclosure, so I was told. The actual meeting of Hu Jintao with Vice President Biden, and later President Obama, was well documented and photographed. We don't publicly know exactly what they discussed, but apparently this was the key follow-up meeting in the aftermath of these surprising, ET-assisted military strikes. Most surprisingly, a human ET apparently showed up for the meeting, wearing a brown coat. Apparently Biden was quite shocked and delighted to meet this person, but all photographs of his animated greeting were completely sanitized by the media. See Part 6 for more detail on the story. Step by step after this meeting, the insider alphabet soup agencies all then voted on and approved a formal, step-by-step disclosure plan, which began to be implemented in February. I heard about all of this before it happened, and was excited to see what would develop. I was not told enough specifics to know exactly what would happen, but I got very precise time windows of when. Experience taught me to keep my mouth shut and not say anything publicly, as otherwise it could be much less traumatic than what I may have hoped for. The answer came almost down to the day of when I was told to expect it, from two different well-connected insider sources. First, the FBI released a treasure trove of new UFO-related documents on the internet, including one that blatantly revealed the reality of the Roswell crash involving human ETs. 2 weeks later the NSA did the same thing, again, right on time with when I had been told the first wave of disclosure would occur. I was then told this was a preliminary stage, a quiet, official disclosure to pave the way for a formal, openly announced event later on. Once this bigger event happened, no one would wonder about it anymore. It would be public and obvious at that point. This whole story, along with all the relevant links to the documents, can be found in Part 6 of China's October Surprise. Fukushima then, however, came Fukushima. I was warned about it in my dreams in advance, in some detail, and posted my concerns in an update detailing my recovery from a flu virus, entitled Bouncing Back from Hack Attack. I don't brag about prophecy, but this was all posted 2 weeks before the event. My dreams described what would happen in symbolic terms, and led me to conclude, in writing, that the next big BP-type global event was about to occur.